so where you at? Where you, so where you at?
All right, good afternoon, and thank you. Welcome back. My name is Olu Jabari. I am your host of the Just Kickin' Show. We're located at 43710 Shaner Road, right off of Hall Road here. We are in Sterling Heights, Michigan. You can reach out to us at justkickdem@gmail.com. Also Instagram and on Facebook. Just type in Olu Jabari or Jabari's Martial Arts Academy. So it's another Sunday. It's bright in Michigan, and we're about at 40-something degrees, would you believe it, in February. We're here. I have this brother here. He's going to introduce himself. And again, the show Just Kicking It is about bringing out the best martial artists in Michigan. Definitely not only students, but teachers who have laid the foundation for what martial arts is really about. So without further ado, I've known this brother for some time, had the pleasure of attending some sessions where he taught, watched him teach, learned from him, and then he invited me and said, no, you come teach a session. I was like, really? So yeah, going out there. So I had a chance to work out some of his students and make them sweat, and they thought I was a little nuts because I didn't want to stop. But it's an honorable brother to me. He's going to introduce himself. We're going to get a little background on him and his wife and family, and we're going to just kick it in what we call a karate sauce. So tell us who you are, where your school is located, and then how we can reach you. And then we're going to get right into a little bit of biology stuff. You always say biology, but the biohistory of Jeff, who you are, how you got to where you be. And then we're going to throw your wife in there a little bit and want you to add your kids, and anything else that touches your heart as to how God has allowed you to be where you are. So introduce yourself and tell us about you, where your school is, and a little bit about your family concept.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the invite, sir. I appreciate it. Great man of God and a great man in this community and in the martial arts community as well. They kind of go all together, if you ask me.
Yes.
You know, you can't do one well without the other.
Yes.
I'm Jeff Wheeler, Master Wheeler, Senior Master Wheeler from Flint, Michigan. Born and raised, been there all my life, 63 years old, coming up pretty soon here. Yeah. Been in martial arts most of my adult life. Don't know what I'd do without it. It's a gift.
Yes.
And it's a passion, and it's something that I believe that it's our responsibility to pay it forward and to bring up other leaders behind us. You know, as you see, we're getting a little older here.
I love it.
Didn't have this grace some time ago, but it's our responsibility
That's right.
To grow others. I've been blessed to have a martial arts studio. We actually have three in the Flint area. Actually, Burton, Michigan is like from here across the street from you.
Oh, wow.
Double Dragon Tang Sudo is the name of our organization.
Yes.
We say one grade school in 3 locations.
I like that.
In 2004, I started my first school. As we were talking with your previous guest, Master Brian, out in the narthex there.
Yes.
In the waiting room, we have similar relationships as you do in this karate world. If you've been around for any length of time, pretty much everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
You know how deep those relationships go. Usually it's just based on your interactions. But what I've learned is, you know, in the karate world, you know, once you meet someone, it doesn't matter if it was 5 days ago or 15 years ago. As he says, hey, I remember you. And I said the same thing. And that was a very pleasant interaction, and I haven't seen him in many, many years. So Master Mike Wilson was the person that he brought up.
Yes, sir.
And I believe in giving, you know, people respect and acknowledgement where it's due. I started with him many, many years ago, and I remember those days, as Master Bryant mentioned, in the 90s, but I can go back a little further than that.
Yeah.
You know, didn't compete a whole lot on the open circuit, but I was looking at some of the plaques and trophies I won from Plowden's tournaments. And as a matter of fact, Master Wilson sent me a reminder in a post yesterday from 1999 that was printed in the Flint Journal, our local newspaper. And I got a giggle out of it because it says, karate expert wins tournament.
I saw that.
And it was at, where was that? In Canada, in Canada's tournament. And I don't know if I could classify myself as an expert, but I did have a good time there. So I go back a little ways. And this is a wonderful experience where you create lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where you don't have to see each other every year, but when you do, it's like you never left, you know. So I own 3 schools. I built my second school. My first school I built in 2004. My second school I built in October of 2018 for my daughter, my oldest daughter, and I wanted to make sure as an African American female that she had a business.
I like that.
And I built that for her. So she runs that in Flint Township in proximity. It's about 7 miles from my main school. And then I was fortunate last year in March to open a 3rd location about 7 miles. It's like a triangle.
Yeah, I like that.
We call it Double Dragon South, East, and West. And I have a gentleman that runs that. So we have not an extremely large school. We're about 225 people trying to increase that number, but been around for a little while, and I'm part of the World Tang Sudo Association.
Right.
You know, Grandmaster J.C. Sin is was my instructor. His down by number was 695, and I've been a part of that. Just recently started my own Filipino martial arts system. I've been training in the Filipino martial arts since 1986.
Okay.
And like most people's experiences, kind of dibbled and dabbled with it here and there, you know, because that Filipino world's not quite as structured as a karate world.
Right.
And you would go pretty much where you would find a seminar or a class. Well, I was able to hook up with some people, instructor back in 2010. Grandmaster Deonat, Johnny Deonat. I don't know if you remember him. And then he passed away, obviously.
Okay.
Trained with him for extensively. And then my newest Grandmaster is Grandmaster Jeff Owens. He's a first generation student from Professor Precis.
Oh, wow.
From the Philippines, whom I met in 1987.
Okay.
So I was recently promoted to fourth degree master in the Filipino martial arts, Mana Narnis, and what we call Balintawak.
Yes.
So I have a program there now that's running very, very strong, and very, very, very fortunate to have another way to bring people in to love on.
Love it, love it. And not only that, I always say, you know, well, what I've seen you do over the years, I watch you on Facebook a lot and giving, you know, you give a lot of kudos to folks, and you supply energy, positive energy, right? Every time I see it, it's something positive, and it's never about you. It's always about how do I help the next person get better than what you are or what you've ever been. I've seen that when you came here and you spoke. We had something, and people enjoy hearing someone not only that look like them and sounds like them, but understands what it takes not only just to raise children, but a family of martial artists who become your family.
Oh, absolutely.
So speaking of family, let's get into the karate family. Let's talk about, you know, your wife. Always say that we build great things, but we never do it alone.
Oh, absolutely. You know, my wife, she tried karate for a while in her early days, but honestly, her schedule just wouldn't permit it.
Got it.
You know, I've always had a very flexible schedule with my career. And she's the support, and I know you understand
Absolutely.
that. You know, she's the mother who, when we go to events, she has all the money and all the medicine and all of this, all the lunches and she do all of that.
Yes.
So she's kind of like my silent, strong partner, and you know, and I know you know this is important. She supports you and never gives you a hard time about what you do. And that makes all the difference in the world, because the karate world, the martial arts world, you're interconnected with so many people.
All the time.
Right? And you become mentor, father, uncle, friend,
Yes.
confidant, corrector.
Yes.
You know, you become all those things. And sometimes if you don't balance that correctly, you can disrupt that harmony and that flow in your own home.
Yes, sir.
But when you have support, it makes that so much easier because they recognize your calling.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about your daughters. You know, I had a chance to meet your daughters, and they're so. I want to get, you know, I have to find a new word, put a new word in the dictionary for them, because you know they're not just humble, but they understand familyship. I think they understand friendship, relationship, but they also understand the significance of how important it is to not only have a mom and a dad, but to understand the role that you played in their lives. I see you in them. I see them always smiling, always energetic, ready to jump out there whenever you need them. And they've been in the martial arts for a while. Let's talk about them. How successful have they been just coming up through the ranks, not only watching you, but participating, right? They've gotten out there and done some things.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. The family atmosphere is something that my wife and I really, emphasize in our own home, right?
Yes, sir.
So, it quite naturally transferred into our karate world.
Yeah.
Because we're spending just as much time, if not more sometimes, in our karate world when we are at home. So I'm blessed to have three, born children. My son, Keon, is 33, and his twin sister, Master Q, Kiana, she's, obviously she's 33. And the one that was here just recently,
yes.
She's 24, I believe. And she just graduated from Michigan State with her master's. She graduated from Central with her bachelor's. And
wow.
It's interesting, the story. I don't know if you know the story, how my kids got in karate. It was obviously, Mike Wilson was a good friend of mine and in the early days. And, I decided I wanted to build some memories with my son. We're going to join karate together, me and my boy, because I'm the kind of father, when they wanted to swim, I was getting my 6th level with them, I was getting wet, and when he joined scouting, I was the popcorn coordinator.
There you go.
And then when my daughter was in scouting, I was a cookie coordinator. That's just what I did, right?
Yes, sir.
So when karate came around, they were, 9, 10 years old, 9 years old at the time. And Dad, I want to join karate was my son's request to me. I'm like, oh man, it's just another thing to do. I had done that long time ago, that it was over for me, I thought.
Yes, you did.
Right. And I says, okay. So I started going to karate class with Mike Wilson and fell in love with it at another level. Instructor makes all the difference in the world.
For sure.
And at any rate, when I would leave the house, my wife would say, Kiana, his twin sister, she would cry, how come I can't go? Well, because Daddy's not too smart, I would say. I just, it's a guy thing.
Right.
So at any rate, long story longer, she joined with us, and once he got his Chodan at around 2008, he went on to college and fell in love with college life. My daughter stuck with me, so much so that she's the first African-American master in the United States within our association, the World Talk Judo Association. She's the first.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, there was only one other female Sadan, size 4, fourth Dan, and she was in Mozambique in Africa. So my daughter, Master Q, the one that I ignored, the one that I didn't even consider, is still with me as the first African-American female, as I mentioned. 36 countries, 250,000 members, to put that in significance. Is quite an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
So, it was imperative for me to build something for her. So hence I built the school back in March of 18 for her. And I don't know if you saw her post yesterday. She did Black empowerment for young ladies yesterday at her school, trying to bring, she's always trying to mentor and encourage and empower women. Of any ethnicity, but she certainly doesn't apologize for attending to our young Black girls. So that's my oldest daughter. My youngest daughter you met.
Yeah.
She is an incredible human being. Like I said, she just graduated from Michigan State. She's a 2-time U.S. national champion in track and field. She was number 1 in the MAC for a couple of years at Central Michigan, and it came to a crossroads within her athletic experience. And, I've always told her, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room.
Teach.
And in this particular case, she was already all academic. She had peaked in the MAC conference, and an opportunity presented itself for the Big Ten. And when she graduated from CMU, that opportunity presented itself, and she went straight over to Michigan State, and she was in the Big Ten, and she went to Olympic trials She was, I think she made it at the number 2 or number 3 spot in the Big Ten.
Okay.
And then her athletic eligibility ran out. So right now, even as we speak right now, she's training because she trains what we call unattached. In other words, her athletic eligibility is gone.
Right.
But she trains the track team, but she can't compete for Michigan State, so she competes alone. So it's interesting that she outperforms everybody on the track team. So that's her athletic. And as far as martial arts, she's a multiple, probably 8 or 9 time, maybe more than that, regional champion. 2-time U.S. national champion, 2-time world champion, where we have all the countries. It's kind of like our Olympics.
Yes.
Kind of like why I watch you all when you do your worlds, when you travel.
WKC.
Yeah, WKC, where, you have maybe 2,000 competitors.
Yeah.
And she's the defending champion. She loves martial arts, regularly comes home and just helps us teach on the weekends when she's not busy. And,
beautiful.
People look up to her, and I remember when my daughter, Master Q, was I had the opportunity, the privilege to proctor her master's tests. For those who don't know what proctoring is, you're actually running the floor for the candidates. And when they came up and asked her at the end of the very grueling physical test, they would have the candidates come up, which we usually do, and ask them, what do you think? How do you feel? What motivates you? What keeps you going? And I never will forget, my daughter said, I'm doing this for little black girls can see that this is possible. And for my parents. That's what she said. So those are the kind of people that we raise, that they're concerned, like you. You look in your 4-year there, it's all about community. I remember one of my mentors mentioned a long time ago, he says, if your doors closed and the punching and the kicking stopped, would your community even know that you were gone? So that lent to me that it's much more than the punching and kicking. Of course, those things is what bring the people in.
Absolutely.
But once that has been done, what are you giving? What are you doing? Who are you developing? Who are you growing? Are you creating your replacement? What are you giving back? And teaching young people how to give back.
Yes.
And you model all of that.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And I like the idea of replacement. We just talked about in our last segment. One of the biggest things we talked about in a lot of martial arts schools, it's easy to be successful when you're doing it yourself. The hardest part, and it doesn't have to be hard or difficult, is preparing someone to take your spot. Your daughters, or whether it be key students who have grown to understand what it takes to not only operate and run a school, but understand that I'm grooming you if you want to do this in order to keep this lineage moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
Because like you say, you and I and other folks, as we get older, and we thank God to be able to step into the square circle and teach and motivate and inspire people. But where do we go from here? When you decide to ride off into the sunset, you and your wife and others, and whether you continue to live in Michigan or you want to go someplace and live the next 20 years in the sunset, right?
Yes,
For
sir.
real sunset.
Yeah.
The kind of sunset where you can walk every morning, you don't have to wear no sandals and it's just all sand. You're like, okay, this is nice. Look, see. But for the most part, I'm saying that because a lot of schools lose contact. They lose their schools because they don't have anyone else to step into their own shadow and move that school forward. Because I look at it, I'm preparing someone to take my spot, and I'm hoping they have some seasoning salt to put on what I've done to make it taste better. Because, a lot of schools just closed or they gave up because no one was there to help. No one was there to push. Even family members oftentimes do not step up or don't want to step up, and I get it. But preparation and being able to have a family that understands what you're doing, that it's not about you. And it's never been about you. From when I've known my relationship with you, you've always been about, I see you, sometime you're on the plane, well, I'm going here and we're doing this for kids. Or sometime you're in the karate school, oh, we're back here and we're nailing up stuff. Or we getting ready to go eat hot dogs, or this is going on. And it's always, you're not talking about you, you're talking about institutional building. Where martial arts schools is not just a karate school. It's an institution where we build, the brightest. It's the place where nobody sits on the bench.
Yeah,
everybody's in the game.
That's actually one of our mottos at Double Dragon. No one since the bench. Basically what you're talking about simply is just legacy.
Basically.
And many people don't understand that. The schools just exist for the purpose that they're serving at that moment, tournaments and belts and this and that. But when you have a community mindset, like you it's much bigger than that. As I mentioned, that karate brings them in the door, but then what? And then we also know, we've both been in business long enough to know, I don't know about you, but my longest current standing student now has been with me 21 years.
Wow.
So, that's how long I've had my business open, is 21 years, and he's in medical school right now. So, how do you, there's one saying, you build it, they'll stay. And I usually say, you build it well, you build it, they'll come. You build it well, they'll stay. Mm-hmm. And, as you know, people come and go. Yes. So however long the students are here, whether it's at 6 months or the 1 year and it turns into 2, 10, whatever.
Yes, sir.
What are you giving to them? After a while, grand championships, trophies that get old, I've broken and thrown away more than I have, just the other day, just breaking trophies, doing whatever we're doing, they're falling and blah, blah, blah. But what's after the trophy, and that is, our responsibility to pour into these young and old people, these young people that we are blessed to come through our doors. And I think it's my responsibility to pour into them. And when you treat them like that, you build a loyalty.
Yes.
And even when they don't come or kick anymore, they don't forget you. Sometimes they'll come by and visit. This. You'll get a text, a letter, or email, or something. And I think that's our responsibility. There's a quote that said it is the person who does not care for his fellow man who creates the greatest injuries to others. Right? We have to care about people, and you are certainly one of the epitome for that caring, that community. All the things that you do. Running for city council and school board and this and that, and the Democratic National this and that. You understand that. The relationships that are forged, and this is just a catalyst. It allows you, it creates opening doors in the community for you, because you have the networking through people that you meet in this kicking and punching environment that is so much bigger than the events themselves. But those events are important, because without them, you don't have the networking. So I've been very, very, very fortunate. It's all about the people, man. It's all about who's next. I can't run 3 schools without help.
Yes.
I can't. I'm only in one place at a time. So, you know as well as I do, we depend on other people to make us successful.
Yes, sir.
So if I depend on someone else to make me successful, I need to treat them right. I need to create a relationship that's trustworthy. I have to live a life almost above reproach as it relates to, in other words, I have to walk the talk. I have to be able to do all those things so I can build those relationships, so that I can do the things that I need to do in the community. So
and I think your community, not only your community, but your family, your constituents, you've earned that trust. You've earned those relationships, and you climb some tall ladders. I mean, you think of, just being black. People always say that that's a lot. No, it's more than just a lot, right? Because there were doors we could never step in as black martial artists. And I know you started, pretty much some time ago when I did. I started in the late 70s doing martial arts, and schools would not let you in,
right?
And it would be right down the street, wouldn't let you in. And then we finally got to the point where we start to say, hey, this is weird. Not only could we not go into schools, we couldn't go to the tournaments. But now, getting back to what you said in regards to, building a foundation and legacy and things like that, with this show, with Just Kicking It, the key, the idea is to bring to the camera and bring to the community where we come from, right? Not just not just kicking and punching. It's more than just the distance. No, I need people to hear, understand, and see that it wasn't an overnight situation for you. That would be great if we could just build these schools and people would just give us $400,000 or $500,000 and go ahead and you run that and take your pay out of that. No. You started from scratch. You built the foundation according to what God allowed you to do, and you followed that foundation. But not only that, you put your trust in a lot of people to say, hey, I need you to help me over here. I need you to run this. I need you to teach that. And like you and I, women, I don't care where you go. If you're away from your school, it's always in the back of your mind, what's going on when you're not there? Because no one can run it like you, but you don't want them to do that. You just want it to be done the right way. And so, the reason we'll have this conversation is to talk about how God has blessed you, how God has nurtured you and your family and chose you to do what you're doing in Flint. Many people could do it, but he chose you.
That's an interesting point. No one does it like me. I have a saying in the school, do it my way, your way. And what I mean by that is, what the standard is. That's my way. The standard is my way. But you bring your own creativity and your own flavor to that. So, I don't micromanage. It's not my job to do that. My job is to, my leadership motto is watch me, do it with me, do it by yourself while I watch you, do it by yourself, put somebody with you, watch them. And that's the model. Because if you don't do that, again, like you said, I can't do the things I used to do. I'm still fairly good at what I do.
Yes, sir.
But I understand that I need other people. So development. Well, what if they, develop and you grow them and they take what you listen? You can't take nothing.
That's
from
right.
Me. You can't take nothing from me. So, it's like me hoarding everything on this table. My job is to develop. I can make you sign a non-complete clause. I can make you do all those legal things. But the bottom line, you're going to do what you're going to do.
Yes.
That's really the bottom line. So what I'm going to do is be responsible with who I give what after they've earned my trust and respect. And then it's cyclical. We make sure that we do that. And I give responsibilities, and then it builds a sense of loyalty.
Yes.
And when you see that someone needs their own to continue their growth because the law of the lid is in play, they've reached a lid, then my job is then to support them and or actually physically, financially help them get what they need to do so they can continue to grow, not think that they're my competition.
Teach.
I had the same situation, with my third location. I have a very, very strong young man, 40 years old, younger than me now. And I said, you know what? I'm going to build this third school. And this is after long, long conversations. And I gifted, when I say gifted, he's running that school for me.
Okay.
Instead of letting him linger and put my thumb on him in my location, no, it's time for you to go ahead and do that.
Like it.
And, we had some legal things that we worked out. But the point is, I saw that he needed that growth.
I like it.
And that's just my responsibility. So, yeah, it's been a great journey. In my association, as I mentioned, 40,000 people. We're in 36 countries and 23 regions. So our World Tongue Sudo Association is broken up in regions. This is Region 5, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and some parts of Ohio. So you talked about glass ceilings, doors being closed to us. Back in the early days, it was a Korean dominated.
For sure.
So if it was Tongue Sudo or Taekwondo. It was a Korean dominated culture. Flint, Genesee County in particular, is heavy Tongue Sudo.
Yes, sir.
That's where a lot of the grandmasters landed. You had Flint was booming, General Motors was booming. It was all economics, right? And I remember those days. You didn't have the opportunities. So, hence you had, your Grandmaster Kings and Grandmaster Browns and others, they ended up separating from that environment because of the glass ceilings, because of the limitations, and you were forced to create your own. But that's not always a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing, right? So, as a result of those doors being closed, those things shouldn't happen, but it shows our spirit and our willingness to continue and serve and learn and grow by saying, if you close the door over here, I'll just go over here. And that's pretty much what has happened as a result of that. But I said all of that to say, of the magnitude, we are the largest Tang Soo Do association on the planet.
Wow.
And there are a number of associations, right?
Okay.
We have ITF, WTF,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. But the World Tang Soo Do is the largest. And I was blessed to be asked to be the regional director for our region back in 2021.
Okay.
And there's only one other African-American male, or African-American period, that's a regional director, and that is Master Johnny Williamson in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're talking about, breaking through barriers.
Yes.
We're talking about steadfastness, give up, integrity, working hard, not giving up, and all those things. And I've raised my kids on this scripture: your gift will make room for you.
Teach.
That's it. You don't have to sleep your way, cheat your way, mistreat people, hustle. You don't have to do those things. Just do what you're good at. And when you do what you're good at, the rest of the scripture says it'll bring you in the presence of great men. You're a great man.
Amen.
So because of that, because I know you, whatever giftings and whatever benefit that you saw or see in me, you made room for me. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Master Wheeler. Can you come to? That's what happens.
Yes, sir.
And all you have to do is, the reason why, when you go to tournaments and things like that, people see your ethic. And they see your ethic, whether you're judging or whether you're on the floor, whether you're competing, and they see your giftings, and then doors will begin to open for you. Look at the Plowdens.
Teach.
Look at the Plowdens.
Yes, sir.
And they're intelligent,
Family.
compassionate people.
Yes.
And they bad in the martial arts too.
Yes, they are.
But the point is, they're gifts.
Yes, sir.
And it started with, I don't know if he's Grandmaster, he should be. It started with Richard Plowden.
Yes, sir.
So your gift makes room for you. And our family is no different. Just do what you do. Do what you're good at. Work hard. Don't run folks down because you don't know who's listening.
Yes, sir.
And just keep pushing. So as a result of that, I'm regional director, and I've had a lot of opportunities come my way because I believe that, I just kept pushing with tears sometimes, kept pushing, hurt feelings sometimes, just keep pushing, disappointment, betrayal, just keep pushing, keep pushing. And as a result of that, you and I are still here.
Amen. And still friends. Yeah.
Still
one thing I really say, Richard's going to be on the show, I think, next week.
Awesome.
And we as we wrap it up, I heard the bells go off. Richard Plowden, Jackie King,
Butler.
Curtis Butler, the Perrys, the Mike Wilsons, the Jeffs, the Willie Adams, Marvis Cofield, Larry Green,
keep it coming.
Master Wheeler, these people, because of what God has allowed us to do now, we've been blessed because we didn't have the resources to maintain and open up schools back in those days, right? Because when you're with a federation or an organization, they're going to make sure if you're with them, your school is going to be ran and it's going to be financed. When we didn't have those resources, we didn't know how to do it, but we know how to kick and punch, right? And then we start going to school and we start sharing and we start talking to people. And then out of that came, you. Out of that came the Marvises and all them folks. And then out of that, of course, Richard. And now the martial arts, where it was once a segment where it was closed off to certain folks, to certain schools, has been open. We can talk about how we trained. I know how I trained. What no paint on the floor. Wasn't no tile. Wasn't no gym floor. It was cement.
Wasn't no rubber mats.
Wasn't no rubber mats.
No air conditioning.
Right? No air conditioning. We fought until it was time to go. And we didn't have a clock on the wall.
Right.
It would fight. When you got tired, you took a break and you jumped back out there.
Fight some more.
Fight some more, right? So I say all that to say that as we wrap this segment up, Master Will, is that God is still blessing you, and you have not gotten your just due yet. You're just starting to get your due, because your blessings, they come through the eyes of those young people you teach. When you see them graduate from elementary, middle, high, college, getting a master's degree, going on to open up companies and in corporations where they're standing there and they said, I remember when I didn't want to go to karate school and you told me this can be one of the best things you could ever do in your life. And look at them, right? They don't owe us anything. We're supposed to do this, right? We're supposed to pave the way, right? So I like to say that the support that you have from your wife, your children, the martial arts community, and now just martial arts, it ain't martial arts no more. It's opened up so big,
Sure.
Like Richard has done and other martial artists. It's become a sport that's recognized for real, right? Who would think that martial arts would be in the Olympics? Just one style of it.
Right.
Not anymore. Now we have to have our own Olympics because it's so big. And I know because you've done dozens of them.
Yep.
I've had the chance to travel and be part of WKC, and it takes 7 to 10 days sometimes. Who would think that black men, you and I, coming up under a lot of other folks, and we're still learning, would be sitting in an Olympic, working with children from all over the world that get this chance that some of us didn't have to travel. Some young folks can't travel across the street around a corner, let alone get on a plane and fly to Portugal and Spain and Ireland for 10 days and experience something that we've never seen before.
One of my black belts, I know we're closing here, said,
Absolutely.
one of my other sons, Osiah Robinson, I've had the blessing to have produced 2 masters underneath me, 71 black belts and 2 masters.
Wow.
And he said, it was probably around 93, we were traveling to an event to Chicago, and he was looking out the window, hadn't really traveled outside of Genesee County prior to coming into the karate world. And he is now an engineer, has a family of 3, has opened a school, 2 schools now, and one in California, one in Arizona, named in honor of me, West Coast Dragons. And he sent a text to me and he said, who would have thought that I would join karate and see the world? And he's been to Africa and Europe and all these different places, all because a little boy had his face pushed up against the window pane of the karate school, wanting to come in, and he came in, and now, he calls me dad. That's my payment right there.
That's it.
That's it.
What more do you ask for when that happens, right? You can't write a check for that, right?
Can't.
And that's what I tell folks. Martial arts, the payment for us is to see people grow themselves, their families, their communities, their churches, and then give it all back, right?
Pay it forward.
My wife says it all the time. He don't care about getting paid. He just want to teach.
Pay it forward.
As much as God has blessed us, we owe. It's not the money we owe. It's how much you know. That's how much you owe.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up. Again, Master Wheeler, this is phenomenal. I'm glad you came on the show.
Thank you.
We're making history. And remember, Just Kickin' It is a show. It's going to be something international. We're going to take this stuff, and we're going to get it aired, unedited, so you can see just what God is allowing us to do now. This would never happen to us 20, 25 years ago. It would never happen.
Absolutely not.
So reach out to justkickdem@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at Olu Jabari. Also, Jabari's Martial Arts Academy on Facebook. And again, you want to make sure that you reach out to your school, give them the address, locations, and how we can reach out to you.
Well, our website will probably be the easiest way is www.ddtsda.com, DDTSDA Double Dragon Tung Sudo Academy.com. And our slogan is one great school in 3 locations. And if you're in the Flint area, Burton area, we'd love to serve you and love on you and look forward to seeing and hearing from you.
Thank you very much. This is Olu Jabari from Jabari's Martial Arts Academy live in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Remember, keep kicking it.
Where you, so where you at? Where you, so where you at? Where you, so where